Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw tonight was from the Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, Michigan. And this was Monday Night Raw's go-home show for day one, which is going to be taking place this Saturday. It's going to be in Atlanta. And Monday Night Raw tonight, I thought it was an okay show, in my opinion. It wasn't flat out terrible like how it is every single week. I mean, the wrestling in the matches tonight, I thought was decent. But tonight on Monday Night Raw, we saw Matt Riddle versus Chad Gable, Randy Orton versus Otis. We had the RK-Bronament finals match where it was the Street Profits versus Ray and Dominic, and the winners will get to face RK-Bro at day one for the Raw Tag Team titles. We also had AJ Styles versus Apollo Crews. The United States Championship was on the line where Damian Priest defended the title against Dolph Ziggler. And we saw Kevin Owens versus Cedric Alexander. And pretty much basically the hype for Monday Night Raw going into this show was the Miz and Maryse renewing their wedding vows. Yeah, to me, that is yawn, roll your eyes, facepalm inducing. That's how I would describe it. Let's wait until I get to talking about that segment. But Monday Night Raw tonight was an okay show. Wasn't flat out terrible. But before I start the review, I just want to talk about this news, news that came out. So apparently, this Monday Night Raw was rewritten, which is no surprise because when Vince McMahon is there, if he doesn't agree with anything, he just rips up the script and makes creative do a rewrite of the script before the show goes on the air. So it's no surprise for me that the show had to be rewritten. So apparently there were superstars, WWE superstars, that were tested positive for COVID. And according to PW Insider, the producers have been affected severely by COVID. It says right here, in general, there are 12 producers for a Monday Night Raw show. So there you go, 12 producers run this show for 3 hours every week, which this show is fucking awful every single week. SmackDown is just as bad as this show. So 12 producers run a show every single week for Monday Night Raw, every Monday. And it says right here, however, for this Monday Night Raw tonight, there was only 6 producers, which will lead to a lot of rewrites, which you could tell. And there was also another report stating that Vince McMahon and other people, Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn, were absent from Monday Night Raw tonight. So it says Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard, and Kevin Dunn, producer, on-air talent, and director of live events Adam Pearce, and Michael P.S. Hayes were not there for Monday Night Raw tonight in Detroit. So the two who were running Monday Night Raw tonight were WWE's lead writer Ed Koskey and John Laurinaitis, who of course is the head of talent relations, people power. Both of them will run the show tonight. And there was also another report that came out where Seth Rollins ended up revealing that he tested positive for COVID because Rollins ended up tweeting out saying, "Merry COVID Christmas to me. I love football," which is what he posted on Twitter. So Seth Rollins ended up revealing that he tested positive for COVID. Possibly had the Omicron variant. Who knows? But the match for the Fatal 4-Way match for day one is still listed to go on, at day one on Sunday. So there was also another report saying that more producers, and crew members tested positive for COVID in the last week. And there's backstage notes on how WWE's approach to this week with the COVID, with the people who tested positive for COVID. So it says WWE has reportedly taken an approach of the show must go on to the upcoming week, despite there being a number of superstars and staff who are unable to work due to positive COVID tests, according to PW Insider. And I'm getting this off of WrestlingInc.com. It says, regarding talent availability for Saturday's WWE Day 1 pay-per-view, word is that if the show was held tonight, multiple matches would have to be changed, according to WrestleVotes. WWE officials are hopeful that they can keep the card as is, but everything is fluid at this point. WWE will present a live Raw, which we saw tonight from Little Caesars Arena, a live NXT tomorrow night from the Performance Center, and then the pay-per-view on Saturday from the State Farm Arena in Atlanta. So they're taking precaution. But that's the little bit of news that I wanted to share with you all, get out there. So now let's jump right into the review. Monday Night Raw opened up tonight with RK-Bro, Randy Orton, and Matt Riddle. Both Orton and Matt Riddle end up heading down to the ring. So we had Orton end up getting on the mic, and the crowd popped for him. So Matt Riddle was shown he was wearing a party hat. He had a Christmas card in hand. So Orton wasn't interested in reading his Christmas card, Riddle's Christmas card. So Riddle ended up welcoming Detroit to the final Raw of 2021, which, of course, this was the final Raw of 2021. He ended up saying that if you liked what RK-Bro did this year, you will love what we will do in 2022. So Orton ended up saying that the only way he's going to have a Happy New Year is if he defeats Otis. And the only way they will have a Happy New Year together is if they retain the Raw Tag Team titles at Day 1 over either the Mysterios or the Street Profits. So Matt Riddle ended up saying about how he did some self-reflecting last week while he was off. So Randy Orton was like, to the production truck, and he wanted to show how he defeated Chad Gable. And then he had the RKO blocked 3 times by Otis. So Riddle was wondering if Otis is un-RKO-able. Orton ended up admitting that Otis is a powerhouse. So then out came the Alpha Academy, out came Chad Gable and Otis. So Gable was on the mic. Gable ended up praising Otis as being the most dangerous man in the company, and also his protege. He ended up bringing up how he recently achieved his master's degree with a 4.0 GPA. And then he started talking shit on Detroit. So Gable was talking about how Otis will send Orton limping into Day 1 on Saturday. And he ended up saying that it's a matter of time before the Alpha Academy has the Raw Tag Team titles. So then Matt Riddle ended up interrupting, and he offered to fight Chad Gable. So Matt Riddle and Chad Gable were trading shots on the mic. Gable ended up accepting with the idea that the Alpha Academy will take out both champions before their title defense this week. So Matt Riddle ended up saying that he will win, and when he does win, he has a surprise for Orton, and he knows that Orton will love it. So that was how the other segment ended. Overall, this was, an okay segment. RK-Bro, they're still the best thing going on Monday Night Raw. Matt Riddle and Randy Orton, they're both entertained together. So, RK-Bro are the only ones that are holding up Monday Night Raw, and they're the only good thing about this show. And then we had the first match. We had Matt Riddle versus Chad Gable, which this match was okay, in my opinion, but WWE shouldn't have done one-on-one matches with Riddle and Chad Gable and Randy Orton and Otis. We should have got a tag team match between the Alpha Academy and RK-Bro. I don't know why we needed to see one-on-one matchups with these guys. Should have done a tag team match. So, but we had Chad Gable and Matt Riddle start off the match. Gable ended up going behind Riddle. He ended up slamming Riddle down to the mat. So, both Riddle and Gable were tangled on the mat. Gable ended up grounding Riddle by his arm. Gable ended up finding out of a triangle attempt by Riddle. And he ended up getting to the bottom to break up the hold. So Riddle ended up taking Gable into the corner, starting to load with some strikes. Gable ended up taking Matt Riddle's leg out. He ended up sending Matt Riddle's leg into the ropes. Riddle was clutching his leg. Gable ended up taking advantage. He ended up staying on Matt Riddle. He was focusing on Riddle's hurt leg. Riddle ended up getting up, and Gable ended up countering. He ended up hitting a Tiger Suplex to Riddle. Went for the cover. Riddle kicked out at 2. So Gable ended up going up to the top, and he ended up landing on his feet off of the moonsault as Riddle ended up pulling him into the triangle. And Gable ended up countering. He ended up applying the ankle lock. Riddle ended up breaking out of the ankle lock. Gable ended up ducking a kick from Riddle. So Gable ended up going for a German suplex. Riddle ended up sliding out. He ended up nailing a step-up knee to Gable. So Riddle ended up going up to the top, delivered the floating bro, and he got the cover. And there you go. Matt Riddle ended up winning the match. Post-match, Otis ended up coming into the ring. He ended up leveling Matt Riddle, ended up sending Riddle out of the ring, down by Orton. So Orton was seething at Otis, and then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. But overall, this match was okay from Matt Riddle and Chad Gable. And then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had Randy Orton versus Otis, which this was another okay matchup here. So Randy Orton ended up going for the RKO very early. Otis ended up blocking it, and Otis ended up dropping Orton. Otis then delivered a big splash to Orton in the middle of the ring. He dropped a headbutt to keep Orton down. So fans are chanting for Orton. Otis was delivering some shoulder thrusts to Orton in the corner. Orton was trying to go for another RKO, but Otis ended up blocking that. And Otis ended up sending Orton out to the floor. So Otis ended up following at Orton, and Otis ended up running to the ring steps as Orton ended up moving out of the way. Orton ended up going for the second rope draping DDT. And we had Matt Riddle. He was rallying the fans to get behind Orton. Orton was ready to go for the RKO once again, but also once again, Otis blocked it. So Otis ended up catching Orton with a power slam. Otis ended up standing tall over Orton. Otis ended up going to the second turnbuckle to deliver a Vader bomb, and Orton ended up moving out of the way. So Orton ended up coming right back, delivered the RKO to Otis, went for the cover, and there you go. Randy Orton ended up winning the match. Post-match, we had Matt Riddle. He ended up getting on the mic. Riddle ended up saying that it's time for Orton's present. He ended up saying that there's only one present big and good enough for Orton. And that's a big, beautiful hug, bro. So Matt Riddle ended up getting the Randy chant going from the Detroit crowd. Orton was hesitating to hug Matt Riddle. So Riddle was going on about how nobody else will know. So he was telling Randy Orton, oh, if you give me a hug, nobody else will know of this. So Orton gave in. He ended up hugging Matt Riddle. They both ended up hugging. Orton ended up faking Matt Riddle out with a RKO attempt. And they ended up having a laugh. And they ended up celebrating. And that was that. But that, Orton faking the RKO attempt there, that might end up happening. A little tease for when RK-Bro breaks up. I think Randy Orton, when RK-Bro ends up breaking up, that was a little tease right there with Orton faking the RKO attempt. Watch, when RK-Bro breaks up, Orton's going to hit Matt Riddle with the RKO. So, that was a little tease right there. Whenever RK-Bro breaks up. So then we had Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens was backstage with Kevin Patrick. And Kevin Patrick ended up showing us a video message from Big E. So Big E ended up going on about how this is about his story. How he's showing up every week and knowing he's worth more. He ended up saying that he's going to be walking out of day one with the WWE Championship. And he's like, oh, you've got to feel that, sucker. What does Big E think? He's Booker T? So Kevin Owens ended up saying that he heard all that, but Big E is wrong. He ended up saying that Big E is at home this week, while Kevin Owens is here at Monday Night Raw. So Kevin Owens ended up taking credit for taking out Bobby Lashley and Big E last week, despite Seth Rollins being there. He ended up saying that the next part of his plan involves him taking the WWE Championship at day one. So Owens ended up storming off, and that was that. And then we had Dana Brooke and Reggie versus Tamina and R-Truth. Reggie teaming up with Dana Brooke, which she is the 24/7 champion. So we had Dana Brooke and Reggie end up coming out first. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had another coming soon vignette for Veer Mahaan. When is he debuting? How many weeks are we gonna keep getting, oh, Veer Mahaan, coming soon? Is he gonna debut or what? If they keep doing these vignettes where he's coming soon, he's not gonna be coming soon. Watch. I think Veer Mahaan is gonna be the next guy to be on the WWE release list for whenever that comes out in the next releases of Superstars. Veer Mahaan's name is going to be on that list. If WWE doesn't debut him and they keep doing with these, oh, Veer Mahaan coming soon vignettes, watch. His name's going to be on the next set of releases of Superstars. That's where I see this possibly going. When is he coming soon? When is he debuting? So then we went back to the ring. Reggie and Dana Brooke were in there. Out came R-Truth and Tamina. This match was awful. This match was absolutely fucking terrible. So, R-Truth was begging to start off the match first against Reggie. And R-Truth and Reggie end up shaking hands. Truth ended up pulling him into a headlock. He ended up dropping Reggie. Reggie doing his Circus Soleil flips around. He dropped R-Truth with the back elbow. We had Tamina end up coming in. And Tamina ended up dropping Reggie with a super kick. Tamina then ran over, decked Dana Brooke on the apron. Dana Brooke came in, delivered a knee to Tamina's face. She was unloading with some strikes, beating Tamina down in the middle of the ring. So Dana Brooke ended up delivering a drop kick to Tamina. Went for a cover. Tamina kicked out of one. So we had Reggie end up taking R-Truth down face first into the mat. And he ended up pinning R-Truth. So there you go. Reggie and Dana Brooke ended up winning the match. Post-match, R-Truth and Tamina were having some words in the middle of the ring. Truth ended up ducking an attack by Tamina. And she ended up going for Dana Brooke in the corner. Dana Brooke ended up countering, ended up rocking her against the turnbuckles. And that was that. Overall, this match was fucking terrible. Who gave a shit about this match? Moving on. We had Megan Morant. Megan Morant was backstage with Nikki ASH. Nikki was asked if WWE management made the right decision and banned her from ringside last week. She had talked about how Rhea Ripley didn't need her help to win, and how she has been down on her luck as of late. She ended up saying that the current tag team champions, Carmella and Queen Zelina, have tried to get in their heads, but that's only made them stronger. So Nikki ended up challenging Carmella and Zelina to a rematch for the women's tag team titles. And she goes with the whole bam, kapow. Awful. Absolutely awful. I don't know why they give Nikki ASH the mic. If she's talking like that and she's going, bam, kapow, that. It's awful. It's absolutely fucking terrible. And then we had the Street Profits versus Rey and Dominic Mysterio in the RK-Bronament final. Now, apparently, I heard that the final was postponed weeks ago because something happened, I think, with Montez Ford, from what I've heard. So the RK-Bronament final match that we got tonight was supposed to take place, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago. Not possibly sure about that, but we got the final match tonight. But this was a pretty decent match up here. We had the Profits end up coming out first. Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins. And then, when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had the Mysterios end up coming out. So the winners of this match will face RK-Bro for the Raw Tag Team titles this Saturday at Day 1. So the match ended up starting with Montez Ford and Dominik Mysterio in the ring. Montez Ford ended up locking up with Dominic. He ended up taking Dominic down with a headlock. Dominic ended up getting back up. He took Montez Ford down with the headlock of his own. Both of them were trading arm drags and a kip up in the middle of the ring. Orton and Matt Riddle were watching from backstage. So Montez Ford ended up ignoring a handshake. He ended up tying Dominic's arm up, taking Dominic into the corner. Dawkins and Rey ended up getting into the ring. Both guys ended up trading counters. Rey nailed a Hurricanrana to Angelo Dawkins. Dawkins came back. He ended up leveling Rey with a shoulder. Ford ended up taking back in. And him and Dawkins were double teaming on Rey. So Rey ended up kicking out at 2. Rey and Montez Ford were going at it. Rey ended up getting a close 2 count. Dominic came back in. Him and Ray ended up double teaming on Montez Ford. And Montez Ford kicked out at 2. So Ray and Dominic end up hitting sliding some sunset power bombs from the apron into the barricade to the Street Profits. So then Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial. We had Dominic and Ford going at it. Ford ended up countering, and he ended up dropping Dominic face first into the mat. Ray delivered a tornado DDT onto Dawkins. He went for the cover, and Montez Ford ended up breaking up the pin. Dominic then delivered a neck breaker, and he took Montez Ford out. So we had Ford end up coming in. He ended up flying across the ring, delivered a frog splash, and Dominic ended up bringing it up. Dominic ended up sending Dawkins out to the floor, and Ford was working Ray over in the ring. Ray countered the move. He ended up dropping Montez Ford in position for the 619. He ended up nailing the 619 onto Montez Ford. So Ray ended up leaping off the apron with Hurricanrana out to Dawkins on the floor. Dominic was at the top. He delivered a splash to Montez Ford. He went for the cover, and Ford ended up kicking out at 2. Dominic couldn't believe it that Ford ended up kicking out of that. So at the end of the match, we had Dominic and Ray. They ran for a double 619 to Montez Ford, and Dawkins ended up tripping Ray. So Dominic was left alone in the ring. Ford ended up nailing a blockbuster to knock Dominic off of Dawkins' shoulders. So Ford ended up going for the cover. And there you go. The Street Profits ended up winning the match. So now the Street Profits are going to be facing RK-Bro this Saturday at Day 1 for the Raw Tag Team titles. But overall, this was a decent match here. Really enjoyed this matchup here between the Profits and the Mysterios. Thought the wrestling here was pretty decent from both teams. But decent match. So then we had AJ Styles end up coming out. So AJ Styles made his way to the ring as Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, The Miz was backstage, and The Miz was hitting a crew member with a bouquet of roses, and that he's not happy with the quality of the roses. So Miz ended up saying that he's had to call in big favors for the renewal ceremony with his wife Maryse, including WWE Hall of Famer Eric Bischoff. So yeah, Eric Bischoff ended up appearing. And I'm like, it's weird seeing Bischoff here back on WWE television when a year ago he was on AEW television. Very weird how a year later Eric Bischoff is back on WWE television just for this segment with The Miz and Maryse renewing their wedding vows. So Bischoff ended up congratulating The Miz. He ended up saying there was no way he could turn down the invite with his experience with weddings. Yeah, we all know the famous Eric Bischoff when he was that old priest when he did the wedding of Billy and Chuck. And then at the end he was like, did I just say 3 minutes? And then he had 3-minute warning, ended up coming out in 3-minute warning. Decimated Billy and Chuck, was Jamal, aka Umaga, may he rest in peace, and also Rosie. And that was back on SmackDown in 2003. One of the most, one of the most famous, segments on SmackDown of that year. So Bischoff ended up saying that this will be must-see. No, it's not going to be must-see. So The Miz ended up stressing over the ceremony, a little bit more. So that was that. I mean, did you all care about The Miz and Maryse renewing their wedding vows? I know I didn't. Wait till I get to talking about that segment. So then Styles was in the ring. Styles ended up recalling how Omos said the next time we saw them, it would be in a match. So Styles was wondering if Omos is scared, because Omos wasn't on the show tonight. So he ended up calling Omos selfish and unappreciative. And he ended up saying that you have to pay your dues to get to the top. Styles ended up saying that Omos's duties will be paid to him. He wanted to say that the next time he sees Omos in the ring, he will kick his teeth in. And then we saw Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller, he's NXT superstar. He was at ringside, and he was shown holding up a sign. And the sign said, "The Grayson Waller effect is phenomenal." And Styles ended up making an appearance on NXT last week. He was in the ring with Grayson Waller. And basically, he was talking shit to Grayson Waller. I think we're going to see a matchup between Styles and Grayson Waller. So Styles ended up pointing Grayson Waller out. He ended up calling him NXT's not quite a superstar yet, which Grayson Waller ended up getting booed by the Detroit crowd. So Styles ended up inviting Waller into the ring. So Waller ended up saying, that's really nice of Styles, because Styles ended up introducing Waller to the Detroit crowd, which that was when he got booed. So Waller ended up saying that he came to Raw to show everyone what they can see every Tuesday on NXT. The Grayson Waller effect. So Waller ended up bringing up Styles, wanting him to pay his dues. Waller ended up saying that all he had to do was get under Styles' skin, and Styles is begging him to be in the ring with him. Waller ended up saying that Mondays feels right, and they will feel even better when Omos finishes Styles off, and Waller ends up taking his spot. So Styles ended up saying, of course Waller likes this. This is where stars are made. He ended up saying that Grayson Waller isn't a star, not even close. So Styles ended up offering to show Waller around the ring and give him a phenomenal forearm. And then he got interrupted by Apollo Crews. So Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz ended up coming out. Crews ended up saying that Styles and Omos are similar to him and Aziz. Now Styles' giant has left him, while he and Commander Aziz are a united front. Apollo Crews ended up saying that Styles' giant is not here tonight, but his giant is. So Commander Aziz ended up getting on the mic. He ended up saying that if Styles wants to slay a giant, maybe he will fight him tonight. Styles then ended up accepting the challenge. He ended up telling Commander Aziz to get his ass in the ring. So we had Apollo Crews and Aziz end up facing off with Styles in the middle of the ring. Grayson Waller ended up getting out of there. And Monday Night Raw went to commercial. And that was that. So this whole thing with Grayson Waller and Styles is just a advertisement for NXT 2.0 on Tuesday nights. You know, Grayson Waller's like, oh yeah, you know, you could see me on Tuesday nights on NXT 2.0 and you'll have the Grayson Waller effect. That's what this whole segment was, just an advertisement for NXT 2.0. And then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Megan Morant was backstage with Carmella, one half of the Women's Tag Team Champions. So Megan Morant was asking Carmella about the challenge that was made by Nikki earlier in the night. Carmella ended up saying that she and Queen Zelina have accepted the challenge to put them back in their places. She kept saying that no one compares to her and Zelina, despite her appreciation for Rhea Ripley's fashion sense. So Carmella ended up saying that Nikki is not even close to being a superhero. So pretty much that was basically that. So gonna get another matchup with Nikki and Rhea Ripley versus the women's tag team champions, Carmella and Queen Zelina. Yay! Are you all excited? I know I'm not. So then we went back to the ring. Apollo Crews ended up going at it with Styles. He ended up saying that he's giving Commander Aziz the night off. So it's apparently now AJ Styles versus Apollo Crews. So Styles ended up leveling Apollo Crews, ended up dropping him. Styles ended up sending Apollo Crews into the corner. He ended up nailing the flying right hand. Styles ended up dropping the right hand on Apollo Crews. He went for the cover. Crews ended up kicking out at 2. So Crews ended up coming back, delivered a suplex to Styles. Apollo Crews ended up launching Styles with a back body drop. And so Styles and Apollo Crews, they were trading right hands. Apollo Crews launched Styles into the turnbuckles. And Crews was talking trash to Styles. Styles ended up sending Apollo Crews flying through the ropes out to the floor. And Styles ended up going to the apron. He ended up kicking Apollo Crews away. Crews ended up getting the upper hand. Crews ended up delivering a big boot to Styles' face. He ended up dropping Styles back down to the announce table. So as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Apollo Crews was shown dominating on Styles in the ring. He was grounding him with a headlock. Styles ended up fighting out of it. He ended up nailing the Pele kick, which he put Apollo Crews down. Styles started unloaded with some strikes. He ended up dropping Apollo Crews. Ended up sliding him with a forearm. Styles ended up running into a kick in the corner from Apollo Crews. He ended up coming right back, delivered a backbreaker to Apollo Crews. And he went for the cover. Crews ended up kicking out 2. So Styles was calling to hit the Styles Clash. Apollo Crews ended up backdropping him. So Apollo Crews ended up coming back. He delivered a sit-down powerbomb to Styles. Went for the cover. Styles kicked out at 2. So Styles ended up nailing the inverted DDT. He ended up going for the phenomenal forearm. And then Commander Aziz ended up pulling Apollo Crews out to safety. Apollo Crews ended up dropping Styles into the edge of the apron. And he went for the cover. Styles ended up kicking out at 2. So we had Styles end up countering a powerbomb with her Hurricanrana to Apollo Crews. Styles ended up nailing the Styles Clash in the middle of the ring to Apollo Crews. And then he went for the cover. And there you go. Styles ended up winning the match. Post-match, Commander Aziz ended up coming into the ring. He tried to attack Styles, but Styles ended up getting out of the ring just in time. Commander Aziz was trying to help up Apollo Crews. And Styles ended up flying back to the ring. He delivered a phenomenal forearm to Commander Aziz. Styles ended up beating Commander Aziz up. And pretty much that was basically that. But overall, this was a pretty decent match between Styles and Apollo Crews here. And then we had a video done by Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins was in his home. He ended up talking about Kevin Owens taking credit for what they did to Bobby Lashley last week. Rollins went on to say that he is in a given mood due to the holidays and will give Owens all the credit. And then he will be taking it all at day 1 when he wins the WWE Championship. So Rollins ended up going on about him being a revolutionary and a visionary. And of course he laughs the and then that was that. And then we had Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens ended up coming out. Owens got on the mic. And he was talking about being in a given festive mood. He ended up ranting about how he will be the new WWE champion after day one. He was mentioning how he was the only match participant to show up because, of course, Bobby Lashley, Seth Rollins, and Big E weren't on the show tonight. Big E ended up doing a video earlier in the night, and also Seth Rollins did a video from his home. So MVP ended up coming out, and he ended up ripping on Kevin Owens. He cut a promo on Kevin Owens. He then read a message that Bobby Lashley ended up sending about how he will rip Kevin Owens' limbs off and how someone will end up in the Hurt Lock on Saturday, because we are back in the almighty era. So Kevin Owens ended up feeling good about his odds, despite how terrifying Bobby Lashley's message sounded. So then out came Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. MVP ended up saying that he can't take credit for this idea. So he ended up asking them to explain why they're out here. So Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander ended up talking about how there's strength in numbers and how Bobby Lashley was the best when the group was together. MVP wanted to say that Bobby Lashley doesn't need anyone, but if they want to talk business, he will give them an opportunity. So Kevin Owens was like, oh yeah, I know where this is going. So you end up saying that Shelton and Cedric hope they can take care of Kevin Owens and get back into the Hurt business. So Kevin Owens ended up telling them to just get to it. So Kevin Owens ended up dropping the mic. He ended up getting ready to fight. And that was that. So then we had Kevin Owens versus Cedric Alexander after Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial. So MVP was on commentary for the match. We had Kevin Owens end up leveling Cedric Alexander with an elbow. Kevin Owens was taunting MVP. He ended up hitting a Corn Catterball to Cedric Alexander. Owens kept control of the match. He ended up going up to the top, and Cedric ended up rolling out to the floor. So we had Cedric end up leveling Kevin Owens for a 2 count. Cedric ended up rocking Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens ended up fighting him off. Ended up nailing a neck breaker over his knee to Cedric Alexander. Went for the cover. Cedric ended up kicking out. Cedric then avoided a pop-up powerbomb from Owens. He ended up knocking Owens out of the ring with an enziguri. Cedric ended up nailing a suicide dive, which he sent Kevin Owens into the barricade. So Cedric ended up bringing Kevin Owens back into the ring. Cedric ended up dropping Kevin Owens face first into the mat, and he went for the cover. Owens ended up kicking out too. And at the end of the match, we had Kevin Owens end up nailing Cedric Alexander with the stunner. He ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Kevin Owens ended up winning the match. Post-match, Shelton Benjamin ended up confronting Kevin Owens. And Shelton Benjamin was yelling out for a mic. He was like, give me a mic. Give me a mic. So Shelton Benjamin ended up turning back around to face Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens ended up dropping Shelton Benjamin with a stunner. And that was that. But overall, this was meh match from Owens and Cedric Alexander. And then we had a promo for Liv Morgan and Becky Lynch. So we got that. Again, we had another one of these. And then after we saw that, we saw footage of Damian Priest where he was speaking earlier in the day about how he tries to keep his darkness down. And that it came out last week. You know what I'm saying? While he did enjoy making Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode pay, he was disrespected. He ended up saying that rage, which he says the Damian came out of him, the rage can also hurt him against someone like Dolph Ziggler. So Damian Priest ended up saying that Rage will also make sure the United States Championship stays where it belongs. So that was basically what Damian Priest had to say. But, you know, when Damian Priest goes into this rage and he's going like, and his eyes bulging out, I'm like, what does Damian Priest think he is? The Hulk? Yeah, he thinks he's the Hulk. Or what? He's also Festus? Doc Gallows. Remember when Doc Gallows was Festus? And he had that whole trance where he's like, and then when the bell rings, he goes into the rage, he's out of the trance, starts pounding on his opponents, and then when he finishes the match, the bell rings again, he's back into the trance where he's like, yeah, what? I'm like, that's what I see in Damian Priest when he's in that rage. So we had Damian Priest, he defended the United States Championship against Dolph Ziggler. This was just a meh matchup here. So we had both guys end up locking up. Dolph Ziggler ended up unloading on Damian Priest, ended up going for a zigzag, but Priest ended up blocking it. Leveled Dolph Ziggler with a clothesline. Priest had some offense on Dolph in the corner. Ziggler ended up rocking Priest. He ended up beating him from corner to corner. Priest ended up coming back, delivered some right hands to Ziggler. Ziggler came back, delivered a kick to Damian Priest. Priest ended up knocking Ziggler out of the ring, out to the floor. Damian Priest got out of the ring. Dolph Ziggler ended up ramming Priest into the barricade. And Priest got back up. He ended up catching Dolph Ziggler in midair, launching him over the barricade into the timekeeper's area. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back, Dolph Ziggler had control of the match. Dolph did a famouser to Damian Priest. He went for the cover. Priest kicked out at 2. So both guys were trading strikes in the middle of the ring. Priest ended up getting the upper hand. He ended up nailing the stage dive in the corner to Dolph Ziggler. Priest then ended up ducking the clothesline from Dolph. He ended up driving Dolph face first into the mat. There was a point where Dolph ended up slapping Damian Priest, and Damian Priest ended up going into the rage, you know, with his eyes bulging. And so he ended up unloading with rights and lefts to Dolph Ziggler. So we had Priest end up pounding on Ziggler while he was down in the corner. The referee was trying to get Priest to back up. So the referee ended up counting, and he called for the match. So there you go. Dolph Ziggler won the match by disqualification. Of course, Damian Priest still retains the United States Championship because it's disqualification, of course. So Damian Priest, after the match, he was taking Dolph Ziggler to ringside. He was still beating him down. Priest ended up sending Dolph to the barricade. And then he ended up nailing the reckoning on Dolph. And that was basically that. But overall, this was just a very meh match. So then we had the Miz and Maryse renew their wedding vows. We had Eric Bischoff end up coming out, and we got the "I'm back and better than ever." You know, it was good hearing that again. So Eric Bischoff came out, then Monday Night Raw went to commercial, and then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had, of course, the ceremony, and it was set up just like a standard wedding setup. We didn't have the ring ropes there. So Bischoff ended up saying that it's great to be back in a WWE ring for something this special. So he ended up talking about how we respect the sanctity of marriage. So he ended up introducing The Miz. So The Miz ended up coming out, and The Miz, when he made his way up the steps, he tripped on the step, which was funny. So he made his way into the ring. So then Eric Bischoff ends up introducing Miz's wife, of course, Maryse. She ended up coming out in a wedding dress. So Miz got on the mic, he ended up talking about how they've had the upper hand on Edge, and how Edge will lose at day one this Saturday. He ended up saying that in honor of that, they wanted to give us something special, the renewal of their vows. Do we all care to see this? I know I didn't. I was bored out of my mind watching this segment. It was nothing but yawn, roll your eyes, facepalm yourself while watching this. So the Miz ended up knocking Detroit, and he ended up telling Maryse it's not where you're at, it's who you're with. So the Miz ended up thanking Eric Bischoff for officiating the ceremony. So Maryse ended up going first with her vows, and then we got the boos from the Detroit crowd, which I'm glad they booed this because nobody wanted to see this. This was just a waste of fucking time. So she ended up going on about how she loves the Miz. You know, they've been together. They first met in 2006. So she ended up saying that how at day one he will prove he's a better husband, father, lover, and better than Edge. So Maryse ended up asking if Miz will continue to be her husband. So the Miz ended up asking the crowd, what do you all think? And he's like, oh, I don't care about your opinion. So the Miz ended up going next. So he ended up doing his vow in French. And oh my God, when the Miz was doing this in French, it just came off as cringe and fucking laughable. It was so fucking bad. So the Miz was trying to do his best, to get the French right. And Maryse was like, oh, you're saying it in Spanish. And she was like, oh, just finish it in English. So the Miz ended up finishing his vow in English. And he says, it's like fireworks when they make love, and no one else can tame his wild heart. So the Miz ended up asking if Maryse will continue to be his wife. Detroit fans ended up booing him, and Miz was like, oh, when my hand goes up, your mouth goes shut. So Maryse ended up saying yes. Bischoff ended up going on about how beautiful that was. No, it wasn't beautiful. It was cringe-inducing and fucking terrible. So Bischoff ended up asking if anyone has any objections to speak up now. And then Bischoff was like, oh, we all know how this is going to turn out. And then Edge ended up coming out. Edge ended up running out. Got a big ovation from the Detroit crowd. Edge then got into the ring. He ended up saying hello to Bischoff. He ended up taking shots at Miz and Maryse. Miz ended up saying that he knew Edge would try to crash their wedding vows. And they wanted to give him a front row to true love. So Edge ended up saying that before he beats The Miz at day one, he's going to embarrass him. So Edge ends up waving to the back, and The Miz was shown paranoid. Edge ended up laughing. He ended up saying that he's just playing mind games. So Edge ended up asking if The Miz wanted this to be a white wedding. So then we had the music of The Brood plays. The Brood music ends up playing. The red lights end up coming on. So we had dark blood ends up dropping from the ceiling onto The Miz and Maryse. So Edge was looking on from ringside, laughing at The Miz and Maryse covered in this dark blood, which looked purple, in my opinion. It didn't look red, it looked purple. So The Miz and Maryse were scrambling in the dark blood. And pretty much that was basically how Monday Night Raw went off the air. Overall, this segment was yawn, roll your eyes, cringe-inducing, face-palming, bad. That's how it was. The fans were booing in this segment here. They didn't want to see it. This was a waste of fucking time. Who cares about seeing the Miz and Maryse renew their wedding vows? Who cares? Overall, this Monday Night Raw was okay. It wasn't flat out terrible. Some of the wrestling in the matches tonight were decent. But it was an okay show. But anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all later.